Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Catalina Gillies.
And I'm Ryan Bonazzo. Ontario has launched its long-awaited app and QR code system, the next phase in the vaccine certificate program.
The digital proof of COVID-19 vaccination is now available for many Ontarians, and it will be available to everyone by Sunday. Colin DeMello has details on that and more from Queen's Park.
1 week before it's set to take effect, the digital vaccine passport is now ready to download. Your double dose information embedded in a single QR code.
Together, the enhanced certificate and Verify Ontario app will make it easier and more secure for Ontarians to show their proof of vaccine.
Beginning October 22nd, the code will allow fully vaccinated people to access non-essential businesses like restaurants or gyms. But a segment of the population will not have a QR code next week. The province says those with medical exemptions will have to use paper receipts instead as the province sorts out verification.
We can only put information into the QR code that's already in the COVAX system, and the medical exemptions aren't in the COVAX system yet.
And that's not the only QR code caveat. The province isn't forcing anyone to use the QR code system and says paper receipts will still be accepted, which critics argue is a gaping loophole.
All of this just shows is that Doug Ford didn't want to do this in the first place. It took far too long to put in place. And at this point, it continues to be inadequate and sloppy.
The proof of vaccination program was supposed to be a way of keeping business open during a fourth wave. But the province is indicating restrictions on bars and restaurants that limit capacity could last for another 7 to 14 days.
For 2 more weeks. Hang on it for 2 more weeks. How much longer do we have to hear that? I'm beyond disappointed at this point. It's heartbreaking.
The Premier says his heart breaks as well, but he isn't backing down.
We're going to get to the restaurants. We're going to be rolling out a comprehensive plan, one that will withstand the test of time, and I'm not going to rush it.
What is also not being rushed, mandatory vaccinations in Ontario. Today, the Premier sent a letter to the CEOs of provincial hospitals asking them for feedback on mandatory vaccinations for healthcare workers. The Premier tried to determine the potential impact.
It's easy to go out there and say, fire everyone. That's an easy solution. People have to look at the ramifications down the road. Where are we going to be in 2 or 3 months? When they're short tens of thousands of people, and all I'm saying is, what are the ramifications in your hospital?
It is a major shift in tone for a government that has resisted vaccine mandates so far.
The president of the local Chamber of Commerce is underwhelmed by the new QR code system. She's particularly concerned about limitations of the new Verify Ontario app that businesses use to check those codes, saying it likely won't speed up the process at the door.
I'm not sure how much it's going to help to add efficiency to the process.
Chamber of Commerce President Charla Robinson is happy that Ontario finally has a QR code, minimizing the worry from business owners and employees about spotting fake paper certificates. But she's disappointed in the Verify Ontario app that's now available for businesses, as it does nothing more than scan the code itself.
You'll still need to show your ID. You'll still need to, provide your contact information for contact tracing. You'll still need to go through the screening. So, we would have hoped that some of those pieces would have been integrated into something that would make it faster to get customers into the business.
Robinson is also concerned that the app doesn't recognize QR codes from Manitoba. She says that could lead to confrontations with visitors from the neighboring province who may simply assume their code will work here.
It will not show those as acceptable. So we are very close to the Manitoba border. That is a very big concern based on the amount of traffic between Winnipeg area and Thunder Bay and across the Northwest. And we certainly hope that that will be something that can be addressed quickly.
Robinson says she hasn't heard about any significant incidents since the province first implemented the vaccine certificates last month, and she hopes that will continue despite these new bumps in the process.
The Thunder Bay District Health Unit is reporting 1 new COVID-19 case today. It comes from the Thunder Bay area, and the exposure source is still unknown at this time. There are now 2 active cases across the district. The Northwestern Health Unit also has 1 new case today in the Rainy River District. There are now 3 active cases in the NWHU catchment area.
An outbreak of a respiratory illness has been declared at the Pioneer Ridge Long-Term Care Home. The outbreak applies only to the home's Plaza 1 area, according to the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. That means all admissions, transfers, discharges, and social activities will be canceled until further notice, while visitors are restricted to family and caregivers only.
Thunder Bay City Council will finally vote on Aldo Roberto's motion to divest the city's 2 parkades, now that administration has brought forward additional information. The at-large councillor claims now is the best opportunity to sell the Waterfront and Victoriaville parkades. In September, councillors pushed back a vote on the issue, saying they needed more information. Now administration has provided a more detailed report on the money-losing facilities and the financial implications of selling them off. Administration continues to say it's not in the city's best interest and is recommending council keep the structures while the downtown cores are retooled.
We're looking to come out of COVID and do a lot of renewal work in the downtowns. So there's, a large part of supporting the downtowns is providing parking. So council will hear that, and ultimately they'll decide if the deficit that the parkades operate at is good value for money.
Administration also warns that a private investor could raise parking costs or scrap the structures entirely, creating a parking shortage. Council will debate Roberto's motion on Monday night.
Thunder Bay Police have arrested a 22-year-old Hercote, Ontario man in connection with a recent assault in the city's north end. The incident sent a 20-year-old victim to hospital with serious injuries on September 30th. Police say the accused surrendered himself at police headquarters Friday morning following an investigation by the Major Crimes Unit. He remains in custody ahead of a future court date.
The owner of a Terrace Bay pulp and paper mill has been fined for workplace safety violations over a 2019 incident that injured an employee. The worker became caught between 2 rotating rolls on the machine before a coworker was able to hit an emergency stop and free them. Justice of the Peace Bernard Caron found the company failed to properly equip the machine with safeguards to prevent the worker's injuries. Ontario's Ministry of Labour has fined mill operator AV Terrace Bay Incorporated $80,000 along with a 25% victim surcharge.
The company behind a major mining project near Marathon hosted a public information session in Thunder Bay last night. Generation Mining is hoping to begin construction next year on an open pit mine for platinum, palladium, and copper. Jonathan Wilson reports.
More than 100 people turned out to the Victoria Inn to learn more about the Platinum Group metals mine being built by Generation Mining. Many of the attendees are people who either want to become a local supplier to the big project or get jobs during the construction phase or the eventual mining at the operation. Chief Operating Officer Drew Anwell says he was pleased with the big turnout and told the crowd that things are ready to move into high gear.
The life of the mine is a little over 13 years, and it'll be an open pit operation. Again, we've got a lot of exploration potential there as well, but we'll bite off what we can chew right now and get this mine up and running as soon as we can. So the hope is we can be producing metal in 2024.
The future mine site is located just 10 kilometers from Marathon. Anwell says the company has been working closely with town officials and the Pick River First Nation, and they're now in the pre-construction phase, finalizing their environmental permitting and getting ready to break ground on the rich deposit, which contains palladium, copper, and platinum, along with some gold and silver.
We're in the pre-construction phase of the project. We finished the feasibility study earlier this year, which was pretty robust. And we're now just doing the engineering, the environmental assessment process, and just getting ready to start construction.
It's a large project that we're quite excited about.
John Mason with the Thunder Bay CEDC helped host this open house. He says it's all about sharing information and providing updates on timelines so people can get on board with this project, which will create over 1,000 construction jobs and around 300 mining jobs once it's complete.
This is a real great regional opportunity in terms of the building of this copper palladium mine. We do believe this is going to be a great stimulant for workforce development, as well as opportunity for mine service and supply for construction and operations for the North Shore, for the Indigenous communities that are there, Marathon, but also for Thunder Bay and the region, because it's such a massive project.
Thunder Bay is the hub community for us. Certainly a lot of the employment will come from Marathon and those regions on the North Shore, but from a supply and industrial sourcing, Thunder Bay is certainly a target area for us.
Ann Will says all the permits should be in place by late 2022. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
The chief and council of the Galway First Nation are looking to recoup around $100,000 in court costs stemming from a legal challenge of the band's decision to delay its election. Ottawa passed legislation last year allowing First Nations to delay voting during the pandemic. But some Galway members still took the matter to court and now have apparently abandoned their challenge. The next Galway election is scheduled to go ahead on November 20th.
Confederation College is celebrating the completion of an environmental project it began last year. A tree planting ceremony took place on campus today, putting the finishing touches on the riparian habitat rehabilitation project, riparian meaning land that borders a body of water. The project's main goal is to restore water quality and ecosystem health in the area and to ultimately protect Lake Superior and support climate change adaptation. Environment and Climate Change Canada provided $75,000 for the initiative, with the college and the City of Thunder Bay also contributing. College leaders say the changes have engaged students and will also help reduce flooding.
It's very important because the more the naturalized spaces that you have, we have better infiltration of the water into the groundwater instead of it running off and becoming more flooding events.
Well, when you look around, the students have really been part and parcel of this whole project. They've been involved in planting the trees and designing the pathways and restoring the habitat. So it's part of our environmental sustainability that's so important to all of us now.
The students helped plant 100 trees, 200 perennials, 100 shrubs, and 60 grasses. College President Kathleen Lynch encourages people to take a walk through the low-impact trails to experience the newly restored habitat.
The Thunder Bay Museum is celebrating some Canadian history with a new exhibit marking the 200th anniversary of the merger between the Hudson's Bay Company and Northwest Company. The new exhibit launches tonight and will feature items and artifacts from 1821. It will also discuss the long-term impacts the merger had on the local and national economy and how it shaped Canadian history, with particular emphasis on the role of Indigenous and Métis peoples. Executive Director Scott Bradley expects the exhibit to resonate with local residents.
Well, because we were the home for Fort William, the center of fur trade for the Northwest Company, as they're moving it from Western Canada to Eastern Canada by waterway, there's a huge local connection here, and this, what was happening during this merger kind of sets the stage for everything else. So it's in our city's DNA.
The launch event takes place tonight from 7 to 9 p.m. and the exhibit itself will run through June of next year.
Well, Fiona, a bit of a gray day out there once again, and a little bit cooler than we've grown accustomed to over the past little while.
Yes, it's definitely starting to feel a little bit more like fall, as it should. Believe it or not, though, this is still very, very seasonal for this time of year. But the one thing I would call today's weather is consistent. We had a low of 9 overnight and a high of just 11. That's a 2-degree difference between nighttime and daytime. The clouds, solid as a rock throughout the day, and even the winds, all generally from the southwest, but between 14 and 19 kilometers per hour, so very consistent in what was going on. As we head westward, though, definitely a different story. Temperatures have dropped today. We're well into the single digits. Fort Frances, Kenora, Dryden, even into Upsala, 6 Celsius, 7 in Atikokan. They've had rain off and on for much of the day. Rain also off and on in Red Lake, had a little bit of a mix of sun and cloud, but rain right now. They too are at 6 Celsius, 7 in Sioux Lookout, 8 in Pickle Lake and Armstrong. It isn't until you head eastward into Greenstone that we're back in the double digits at 10 under mostly cloudy skies. Marathon matching those temperatures, and Sault Ste. Marie, well, they had some sunshine during the day and a little bit warmer. They're currently at 15, but it's just been in the last hour the showers have moved in. Here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are going to drop down to a low of 7, so the overnight lows continue to stay well above normal, well above the freezing mark for this time of year, but those clouds are going to linger. Now for Saturday, the cool temperatures are going to be what people are talking about. There's a little bit of a risk of showers, not a lot. The majority of it is actually to the north, but it's those cooler temperatures. Here's the good news if you're not quite ready to embrace fall just yet. There is milder air behind it. So the second half of the weekend is actually looking pretty good. I'll have more details later on in the news hour.
Okay, thanks a lot, Fiona. Well, some shocking news coming out of the UK today. An MP there has died after he was stabbed several times during a constituency meeting in the middle of the day. We'll have details after the break.
We've lost today a fine public servant and a much-loved friend and colleague.